Hi there, folks. My name's Novawind24, and welcome to another little review of a Microsoft Flight Simulator product. So today we are going to be having a looking at the second, I'm about to say first, but it's not. It's the second aircraft release from Asobo Studios. They're, of course, the creator of the sim itself, with their release of their rendition of the Aviat Husky A-1C. So this is a interesting little aircraft. This one. So this is a STOL aircraft. So very much a sort of, it's a GA, short takeoff and landing aircraft that has very, very popular for sightseeing, for rural operations, and for things like sort of just the sort of like the $100 hamburger kind of runs, but if you're going out into the remote wilderness. It's very popular because it's a very affordable aircraft to both purchase and to operate, and it's received numerous sort of operational capabilities across around the world. Now, one of the cool things about this release from the Asobo team, of course, is that it incorporates a variety of different versions of the aircraft. So it's all the same basic Aviat Husky A-1C, but it gives us a variety of different undercarriage options. Now, of course, it gives us the base edition, which is the standard wheels is there. We also get our floats and our skis, much like we got with Sim Update 5 for some of the default aircraft. But additionally, on top of that, we also get this particular variation, the Tundra Tire variant, or what they like to call the big tire variant. I find that a little odd personally, but yeah, I mean, they're not wrong. It is exactly what it says it is. Now, this particular model release, it gives us a beautiful, highly detailed model of the aircraft, both externally and internally. We'll have a look at the internal shortly, as well as a couple of cool paint schemes. But that is also a bit of a sore point to me, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the review. But first off, let's have a look at it. So, we've just sort of been having a look at the external model here, doing a bit of an orbit around. So this is the default color scheme that is the sort of like the default, the prime one, the yellow with the sort of black and red text. This also shows off one of the sort of, I'm going to say new, but kind of is new for the smaller aircraft features in the fact that we actually have our cockpit door is actually now fully articulated and can open up, which is great to finally see. It's nice that we don't. It's nice that it's available now to us GA flyers and not just to airline pilots. It's a small thing. It doesn't sort of change a lot of the functions of the aircraft, but it's a nice thing to see that it's there, particularly for those of us who know that it is like the ability to open up doors and whatever is available on pretty much all of the default aircraft. It's just not enabled by Asobo for whatever reason. Anyway, but otherwise, this is a beautifully highly detailed model, looking pretty good. I mean, there's not much to the aircraft because the aircraft it's a very, very basic aircraft. It's designed for reliability and ease of construction. And in fact, for those who sort of look at it and go, well, this looks all as strikingly familiar to like the Zlin Savage Cub or the X Cub, the Cub Crafters X Cub that's included available with the sim already. You'd be right because it is designed to serve a similar purpose, and although it isn't directly descended from the Piper PA-18 Super Cub, it very much adopts that sort of design style of having the tandem cockpit, high wing designed for great operations and flexibility for operations in a variety of environments. All right, so as I said, we're going to be having a look. We're going to jump into the aircraft very, very shortly, and then we're going to go for our flight. We're going to be taking off here from Misty Moorings in Alaska, and we're going to be heading into Canada for our little test flight today. We'll talk about the aircraft, see how she handles, go through some of the great things, the not so great things about this, and then, as usual, coming for our landing in Canada, and we'll then have a chat about what we think overall. So again, going through the externals here, I said beautiful, highly detailed model here, complete with the highly detailed husky on the end there. Isn't he so cute? He's so cute. But again, full PBR texture support, beautiful high definition textures with all the rivets. So rivet counters, you may rejoice. Your rivets all here. And again, as I said, we're going to be flying the Tundra Tire variant. Interestingly enough, all the different landing configuration variants all do hand handles slightly differently, and you will see that partially when we taxi this the Tundra Tire variant. But the flotation, the float variant, the amphibious variant, very much it waddles, it wallows into the air. That is for sure. And it's interesting as well because it also has it has sort of an additional set of vertical sort of strakes on the tail planes to help with stability as well. But you can definitely feel that you're carrying a whole heap of weight under the aircraft when you're flying it. All right, so enough of that looking around the outside. Let's jump into the office, check out the office, and then get going on our flight today. All right, so here we are in the office of the Husky A-1C, and it is a pretty Spartan office, as you would kind of expect of an aircraft this kind, with a bit of a compromise to a couple of bits of modern conveniences. Now, this is interesting because they've chosen to model the one of the panel options available, so it's very much it is modeled off the real aircraft. So this is the day-night VFR package, VFR radio package that's been modelled, which includes the Garmin 760 portable touchscreen GPS in the centre, the GTR 225 radio systems, the 345 ADS-B transponder, and the MVP 50 full digital engine analyzer, which is the little bit down in the right there. So you get a sort of a combination of just sort of steam gauges with glass gauges. It would have been nice if we'd had an option for a full analog gauge. That would have been nice. I think that's probably something that's it's the first of my couple of bugbears with this aircraft is that. As much as I appreciate the fact that yes, particularly the GPS unit in the center here, the pop-out GPS unit, that is very much a feature of the design of like all the panel options for this aircraft. It would have been nice to have an option, or at least one of them to have an option for the non-power sucking required, analog gauges. Again, I get why they did it because it's again a bit more common to see these sort of, these gauges, and you'll see them operating in a second once we power the aircraft up. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm a bit of a traditionalist. I like my basic 6. There is no autopilot in this aircraft as well, so probably gonna really want to point that out to people. If you're thinking that you're just going to jump in this and fly, or to just get the computer to fly it, yeah, you're gonna be in for a bit of a shock because that is not going to happen. You have to hand fly this the entire time. There is no such things as set the computer, let the computer fly itself. It's all on you. A couple of things as well that's kind of cool about this is that this aircraft is unlike the other Cubs like the J3 and the PA-18 is that the solo flying, not the PA-18 but the J3, the original sort of Cub, you solo from the front seat rather than the rear. So just for people who might be worrying about that. All right. Other than that, there is a bug that I found with this one, which is that when you load in, the parking brake is off. So when I loaded in here, for example, my aircraft was happily rolling down off the parking ramp following the terrain, and so I had to just quickly click the parking brake there in order to get it to stop moving. So yeah, small bug. Hopefully that's going to get fixed sometime soon. All right, I think that's pretty much, as I said, it's a Spartan cockpit. There's not much to this cockpit. There really isn't. So while we're here, let's get ourselves started up. So first things first, let's button up the cockpit. So the button is, or the click point is up here on the handle, and that will bring in that and do the latching and everything there, all done. Okay. All right, so now let's go through my startup. Okay, so let's go with battery master is on. There we go. It helps you turn it on, Nova. All right, there we go. Okay, avionics turn to on. All the Garmin systems powering up. Okay, clear. Turn on 330 unit. There we go. All good. All right, so we're just going to click that one over to 3D vision. All fine. So I don't have a flight plan planned today because we're doing traditional bush flying here. Compass and a stopwatch. All right, so pretty much everything is kind of basic. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our fuel tanks, and actually to light, that is already set to open. So we're good. We don't have to do that at the moment. I'm going to go mixture full rich. We're going to go turn the fuel pump on, fuel pressure in the green, looking good. All right. Throttle is cracked, prop is forward, put our strobes on, and turn our mags to start. And engine caught and running. Engine up to 1500 RPM. So it is interesting sort of having the digital version of this gauge, which is definitely a factory option from Aviat aircraft for the Husky. And many other GA aircraft now as well, is instead of looking at analog gauges, you do have the option of a digital version now as well. Right, let's get our alternator on, nav lights are set on, recognition lights also set on, and we'll sort our landing lights set to on. Okay, looking pretty good here. I think that's everything set. Alright. Our hold brakes and parking brake released. Okay. Oop. Put brakes down further. There we go. That's better. Okay, alright. So a bit of a crosswind today, so we're going to do one slot flaps for our takeoff. Let's taxi down this way. It's going to be a bit of a crosswind today for this departure from Misty Moorings, so this could be highly interesting doing this departure. And you get this sort of, you can probably notice that there's this slight sort of wallowy sort of feeling, and that's the Tundra Tires. So because the Tundra Tires are designed for be able to operate in very sort of remote and rough strips, and gives you the option of, yeah, they're a lot more durable as a set of gear. They're a lot more durable as an option over the standard wheels, and of course favoured for pilots who are operating off rough and poorly prepared strips on a regular basis. I'm going to tuck down the end. We use this runway. We definitely should not need all of it, because one of the joys, of course, of short takeoff and landing aeroplanes is that they don't need a lot of runway. Okay. I'm going to turn this around. Turning circle with the Tundra Tires is not great. So we're going to get back out of the grass there for a little bit. Alright. Alright, and I think that would make us about time. Alright. This is by the way, folks. This add-on airport is called Return to Misty Moorings. It's part of the Return to Misty Moorings pack. I love the RTMM content. I remember it back in the old FSX days, and I'm so excited that it's made its way onto MSFS now. It is just such a great place to explore, particularly now we have float planes as well. Also, you can see that, you know, our engines are warmed up now. Everything, temperatures are all set, so we are good there. I'm going to turn my fuel pump off because I no longer need that because the engine's good. We're good in that green. Alright, I think that is time for us ready to depart. We're all warmed up and ready to go. Flaps set. Alright. Very quickly. And as I said, very short takeoff. Beautiful, and they've got the climb rate. Like, this thing just climbs. Like, reading pilots' descriptions of this aircraft, they describe it that she climbs like a lovesick angel, and it's really, really true. Like, it's just absolutely just climbs. It is just This is why I love this kind of flying and this kind of like bush flying. It is just so much fun, and sort of just being able to have that rush of taking off, particularly in like STOL aircraft like this. You get that feeling of just leaping into the sky far more than I feel that you get from the very sterile environment of airliners. But yeah, that's just me. And this is, with the Tundra Tires, is a great way to sort of explore that and see how that feels. Alright, so we're going to pull back the prop a little bit, and we've got our RPMs, bring the RPMs a little bit, manifold pressure back a little bit as well. Alright. So just going to circle over Misty Moorings here for a second as I get my bearings. Now, the aircraft has two wet wings, but unlike, say, the X-Cub, for example, or the Savage Cub, you don't actually have to sort of switch the fuel feed between from one wing or the other to feed into the engine. It all drains into the single point, so you don't actually do have to do that, so which is a good. So in that case, you do have a little bit less to manage in the cockpit than you do, say, with the X-Cub, but still, great signage. So it is modelled that way correctly. Now we're going to roll out onto around about 040. We're going to be going over these mountains here as we're going to head into Canada for our flight here. So in terms of probably the avionics, probably just to chat a little bit about the avionics here inside the cockpit setup here. So the cockpit setup is very, very basic. I mean, there's nothing much to it. Although you do have these digital materials, there's no autopilot. This is going to be a full hand flying aircraft. You have pitch trim. There's a sort of, I believe, it looks like there's a bit of a fork sort of rudder trim in this one to keep you, sort of give you a bit of a hand there, but that's about it. Otherwise, it's hands-on flying, so you're going to be flying this aircraft wherever you go, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, and I think it's kind of good. Now again, the GPS material here, as I said, it's not like a full sort of supposed to be a G1000 unit or anything like silly like that. It is a basic, as it says in the real aircraft, and as it says sort of like on the placard down there, GPS map system not tested, pilot assumes responsibility for use. It's a situational awareness tool, not a sort of flying or sort of autopilot tool. The real aircraft has the option of an autopilot setup with one of the higher end avionics packages, but that's not what's been modelled in this particular rendition for the aircraft. And again, I have no problem with that. If I'm going to be going flying with this, I'm going to be flying in this part of the world, where I'm going to be flying in these beautiful lake areas, and I'm going to be flying over exploring the world and the backcountry and stuff like that. So I've got no problem with not having an autopilot available. Now, in terms of the numbers, the aircraft seems to fly pretty much by the numbers, including the float variant. You're off the water in sort of 6 seconds or less. 6 to 8 seconds, you're off the water, you're climbing into the sky. Climb performance seems to be pretty much on the numbers as well, from what I can tell. And again, just feeling pretty good for that one. Now, this just probably is a note of which variation of the Husky that this models. This does model the 200 horsepower IO 360 4-cylinder engine with full fuel injection support. So no carburetor handle. Some people sort of pointed out there's no sort of extra. This second handle appears on a lot of the Husky cockpits. That's for the oil cooler, the oil coolers, which is handled differently in this particular version of the engine. So again, this one's modeled correctly off the 200 horsepower engine, and the performance pretty much seems to match that one from what I can tell and experience. Right, I think that's most covered off what the cockpit is here. So you don't have the circuit not operational like we might have seen in other developers' content. That's probably not going to affect most people. I mean, really, unless you want to like deliberately cause failures and stuff like that, there's really no reason to have it done. But again, it's not done, so it's fine. As I said, it does this cockpit is basic, but it does what it says on the tin. All right, so now that we've gone through the cockpit, let's jump and have a look at the outside of the aircraft for a bit. Now that I've got us mostly stabilized in cruise here. So looking at the externals here, we sort of get a bit more of a look here, sort of given that we can now have a look at the underside a little bit better. Again, it's the model is really beautifully detailed, and the team have done a really, really good job on it. Having said that, I mean, it's not that, as I sort of said before, it's not that different from the X-Cub. I mean, they service the same class, they've got the same sort of inspiration, but this aircraft is not sort of like from the Piper line previously. It is actually technically an all-new design. It was actually designed in the 1980s and was one of the first aircraft to actually benefit from a full CAD design system. So it wasn't designed sort of, you know, as a balsa models or anything like that first. Everything was done in a CAD system. So it's interesting how that it was the first, it's like one of the only US designed sort of aircraft to actually sort of go through that process during the 1980s. And I'm just sort of just noticing that I didn't trim that out very well, so I'm just going to quickly retrim that for a second there. We're going to kind of come back a little bit. There we go. That's a bit better. Get that bit back bigger and bigger on a course there. It's always fun trying to sort of, you know, do these sort of like, you know, videos and talk about things when it's not quite right. So that is the other thing, is that the aircraft, the pitch trim is very easy to get, but because the aircraft, you know, doesn't have a rudder trim per se, you do have to be hands on the stick the whole time. It's just something to be aware of when you are flying. Again, as I said, if you're expecting just to be able to sort of set and forget this aircraft, not as much going to happen for that one for you. You may want to look at something else. All right. Again, as I sort of said, looking really good. Now, however, as much as it looks good and as much as it's great to have the options of the Tundra Tires, which is the one that I really was looking forward to, I love the Tundra Tires options for me. So having the Tundra Tires is great, having the amphib version is great, having the ski variant is great, and the normal variants is great. It does lead me, however, to probably my biggest bugbear and my biggest disappointment with this aircraft. So, but to talk about that, we're not going to talk about that here. We need to go talk about that back in the hangar. So let's go and have a look. Alright, so here we are in the hangar, and I wanted to come into the hangar because this is, as I alluded to, this is my biggest bugbear with this release, I think. No, I don't think. It is. So this is the aircraft we're flying at the moment, is the magnificent Tundra Tires. I love the flexibility of Tundra Tires and their go-anywhere attitude that they enable aircraft that are fitted with them to have. And that's great. As long with the Tundra Tire variant, as I was saying to you before, you also get 3 others. So you get the standard wheel variant, you get the skis variant, you get the floats variant, and the Tundra Tires. They call it big wheels. Just call it Tundra Tires. Like, I'm not sure why they call it big wheels. Tundra Tires, so hey, you might want to fix that, guys. Just saying. Anyway, so the floats and the skis variants, let's quickly show them, have them load in. They're pretty much what we've seen. They use the same or similar model, at least, of floats. In fact, I do believe it is the same model of floats that we've got fitted to the Cubs. You also see, though, we've got these little vertical components here on the tail to actually sort of give you a bit of stability with the floats. And with the floats as well, the aircraft very much feels different when you fly it. Like, it's super heavy. It really, really is. Then we've got the ski variant. Does what it says on the tin. Nothing really obvious about that. Doesn't really surprising about that one. Retractable skis again, and same with the floats with the amphibious float variant and the ski variant. You've got the standard box that we see in the other aircraft to control them being retracted. So it is what it is. So then we've got the standard wheel variant. So this is sort of like, you know, the factory standard kind of wheels that come for this aircraft. And it is, you know, still a popular set of wheels. Just it doesn't have the all-terrain capabilities that the Tundra Tires have. So they're your 4 variations. Each one do fly slightly differently. They do have unique handling characteristics, which is great to see that they have embodied that, and that's great. But this is where I have the problem. So if we go to the liveries here, and we'll show off some of these liveries here. So you get a whole slew of liveries. So you got the default sort of yellow one that we're seeing at the flying with at the moment. You've got all these different liveries through here. It's great. You've got the Aviators, you know, the Aviators Club and Xbox Aviators Club. And then you've got these other 8 liveries here. So you've got a total of 11 liveries in total. So you get a livery 1 through 8 plus standard, that's 9, plus you've got the Xbox Aviators Club here as well. Some of them are really, really cool. So I think my personal favorite one is this one, because I love the stylized Husky on the tail, and I just love the color fade that's on here. I'm very, as many of you know, I'm very creative, very artistic. I like sort of color fades and stuff like that. Really, really nice. We've got probably some more probably Xbox sort of orientated ones to get sort of people excited. We've got this one here, which I'm pretty sure is the flame one. Yep, this is the Flames one. So this one, and this is the kind of thing you do see these IRL, like air shows and stuff like that, particularly for stunt aircraft. So these kind of displays are really cool. They look really awesome, and there's a couple of ones which have some really cool finishes as well. But my problem with these is, and these all look great. As I said, they all look great. Some of the question, this one's very, very shiny. The gold one, very, very shiny. So, but they all look great. Then that's great. Bit of variety, bit of options. That's fine. Now, let's now change back to our Tundra Tire one. Let's go back to our Tundra Tire one. So I really love the one, as I said, the color fade one. So let's jump into that one. I'm sorry, what? What? I have all those beautiful liveries, and yet I do not have them available on my Tundra Tire. Okay. Maybe that's just a Tundra Tire one. Let's go back to the floats one, because surely the floats one was going to have liveries for this one. Surely. Nope. 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 Just the default yellow. And any prizes for guessing what the ski one's going to have? How about? Yep. You guessed it. It is just the default yellow. And I am not okay with this in any way, shape, or form. Like, that is flat out, that's lazy, is what that is. That is flat out lazy. It really, really is. And it absolutely stinks. So the other challenging part is it's not even like these are texture sheets either. So these are custom models, and as well as not any other custom models, is that in many cases they're actually not even using texture sheets. That, like, for the purple one, the color fade one, for example, and the gold one, they're actually using materials defined in the model file to set the pattern and the color and the texturing. And it's so you can't even alias them and use them in another way. Like, you are stuck with these only appearing, all these liveries, including the Xbox and the Aviators Club one, only being available in the standard wheel variant. Now, yes, I know that is also the case at the moment for the default 172 and the Cubs and all that, only using the sort of the default livery and stuff like that. And that's not acceptable either, but it's really unacceptable for this on a pay-wear aircraft that I am paying money for, that has been advertised to have 11 different liveries, and I can't use them. That is not okay, and that makes this, and that for me is a complete deal breaker, and it is not on. Incredibly disappointing from the team at Asobo that they did this. Incredibly disappointing. Do not say in the product description you have 11 liveries to choose from and 4 models of aircraft available when you don't. You have 11 liveries available on a single model. You know, if you're going to divvy out liveries between models, then do something like what Just Flight do, for example, with their Arrow 3 Arrow Turbo Arrow pack, where you have a set of liveries that's available for the Turbo Arrow 3 and a set of liveries that are available for Turbo Arrow 4. That's fine. And if they promoted this and said, right, so of your 11 liveries, these 3 can be used for the small tires, these 3 can be used for Tundra tires, these 3 can be used for skis, and these 3 can be used for floats, fine, no worries, knock yourselves out. At least I'm aware. I'm not aware like this, and that is not okay and incredibly disappointing. So, yeah, that's not cool. Not okay, Asobo. Not okay with this. Alright, that's my rant over for this one. Let's jump back into the cockpit and check out a few more details of the aircraft actually flying. So I'll quickly recap and say I will take back what I said earlier about difficulty trimming it, is that if you take time with it, she does trim out really, really nicely. So I have been flying completely hands-off for the last several minutes. It takes bit more finesse to get the trim right with this aircraft than others, and actually I think that's a good thing, because it means that, again, just like a real aircraft, they have their quirks and foibles. So yeah, I'm going to say that, yeah, the trimming of this aircraft it's about finesse, and it can be done. As I said, I'm completely hands off there. A little bit of turbulence going over the mountains here, but yeah, like, this is it's just beautifully hands off. So I will take back what I said about that. Right, onwards and upwards. Okay, so something else to talk about with this aircraft as well is, of course, the night lighting, which we sort of have a chat about. So that is sort of to do with some limited night lighting in this aircraft. So you do have some panel lights, which we have on a control up here. Let me just quickly toggle my flashlight so you can see them. So you go to sort of instrument lights. So that's controlled by your lights on and off here. So we turn it on, and you've got a dimmable switch there as well, which can control how bright the instrument lights are. So complete dark there, or we can roll them up to being really, really bright, and, well, as bright as they kind of get there with a little toggle light there. Okay, so we got that as well. Now, as well as that, we also have sort of map or reading lights to sort of bathe the cockpit in a bit more sort of obvious illumination. And they are, I was going to use my flashlight for a second here. So there's one on each side. So you've got one here, so map lights, and then you've got another one on this side here, so they're just feeding those lights there. Now, as you can see, it says red and white. So let's just set it to the red first, and go red, and we'll go red, and probably helps if I turn it. There we go, that's right, there we go. All right, so I'll turn off my torch for a second there we go. So, yep, cool, nice, red light works, yay, awesome. So let's now try turning that to the white one. And so we've got there, and set to white, and it seems to be awfully red still. So a little bit of a bugbear on that. Yes, look, it's a small thing. It's not huge, but it's one of those little things that I look at and go, how did you miss that? So it's sort of like, yes, does it impact my my enjoyment of it? Not really, because quite honestly, if I'm going to be using a light like this in the cockpit, I'm going to be using the red one anyway if I'm flying at night. But it's just one of those things that I look at it and go, how did that get missed? So yeah, a little bit odd. It is, yeah, I said, it's just one of the little things, and then couple that with the lack of liveries, like, or the fact that, you give us all these amazing liveries, but only for the standard wheel variant and not for the Tundra Tires or the skis or the floats. Things start stacking up against this aircraft, and I just look at it and go, I'm just a little bit less okay with this aircraft now because of that. So yeah, anyway, all right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to sort of leave ourselves here now. We're going to cut towards our landing, coming in into our, so we're coming to land in Canada. We're going to come into Stewart in Canada, so let's cut to that. We'll rejoin the video there, and we'll do our stall landing, and give our final thoughts and observations for this aircraft. Alrighty, so here we are back, and we're just approaching in here to Stewart in Canada. We've got US on one side of the river, and we've got Canada on the other. So let's come in and land in our Canadian little strip here. Interesting, there's a little water strip down here as well, which is always kind of doable, so good for our float variation to come by here. But we got the Tundra Tires, so we're going to land at a far more prepared strip than originally I was planning to, but this is the one that we got. Alright, so let's do our landing here. Let's just get our landing lights on. Okay, everything looking good. Mixture is rich again after I cruise over the mountains. Got a right-hand circuit into this field because of the proximity to the mountain side there. A little bit close. I think let's correct this left a little bit. And we got a bit of a crosswind that we're going to be dealing with on landing here, but we dealt with the crosswind on takeoff, so hopefully we should be able to deal with the crosswind on landing here. Should be fine. Alright. 500 feet. A little bit lower than we probably should be, but that's all right. That's where bush pilots in this instance. All right, so extend our downwind. Ease off the power. Okay. Now I'm gonna try and float this in a little bit long. Won't be right on the numbers, that's for sure. Alright, so a little bit of that crosswind is coming through there. Flaps out. Now I'm going to hold it off a little bit long. Little bump there, pull the stick back to help with our braking, and there we go. All nice and neat. And look at that. Perfect in time to be able to exit the runway at the hangar here. So that was perfect. That was perfect. So nice, very short sort of both takeoff we saw earlier and short landing performance here as well. Oh, and also don't stand on the brakes too hard like tail draggers, because otherwise you have a tendency to possibly end up on your nose. So we're going to taxi forward, hopefully not chop the little AI guy in front. Alright, put our brakes there, stick back, help us stabilize. Alright, parking brake is set. There we go, parking brake set. Alright, and mixture to idle cutoff. Thank you. And magneto set to off. Excuse me. Alright, so we can turn our landing lights off. Beacons, strobes, navs, avionics, and alternator and battery master is set to off. There we go. And good. Okay. That is our flight done. So let's now jump outside. Let's have a look and give our final thoughts. So, final thoughts on the Aviat A-1C Husky from Asobo Studios for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Well, I'll be honest, it's mixed. So, like, first off, like, the modeling is done really well. The flight dynamics feel really good. The fact that we get distinctly different flight dynamics across all four variations. Like, I know that we've only sort of seen and flown the Tundra Tires in this video, but as I said, I've tested all four variants and they all do handle subtly different. The amphibian, significantly different. So it is great to see that the team paid attention to doing that. That's great. The addition of little features that, yeah, I said, it's a small thing, but the door opening animation, that was nice. Nice touch with that. And the overall modeling, up to really good standards. And they're all great things. Unfortunately, however, for me, it's the rest of it that really lets it down. So the fact that only the one color scheme is available across the ski, float, and Tundra tire variations is really disappointing. Now, I know that some users have sort of said to me, a couple of people that have commented this prior to this video have said, oh, well, you don't see the livery because, why would you care? Because you're just looking at the cockpit all the time. It's like, well, that's the same reason why anybody has liveries for any aircraft in flight sim. You could just have all white aircraft, and if that was your case, but everybody wants to have an external sort of color scheme. And just like, we do in real life, if those of us few of us are able to purchase a real aircraft in real life, then, we all put a sort of like our own unique sort of stamp on it. It's our sort of our sort of feature of it and our sort of marking on it. So the fact that they released, and especially with the material coming from Asobo, sort of promoting like all these great schemes, and the fact that some of the schemes are awesome, but can't be used across the whole range of models, that's incredibly disappointing. Couple that with things like the lighting not working the right colors. I know it's a small thing, but again, it's a small thing like that where you look at it and go, how did that get missed? Like, what else is missed here? As I said, I don't think that there's anything else been missed. As I said, the aircraft flies well, like flies great, feels right. I think it's pretty good. You can feel the power on it. It definitely feels a bit more powerful than than the Savage Cub, which it should be. But yeah, it's just it's just those couple of other things. And considering that, we already have with the Savage Cub, you already have a tandem seat STOL aircraft that's well modeled. We have the Shock Ultra, which is another sort of aircraft which is STOL capable, and with doesn't have Tundra Tires, I don't believe, but it's got options available to you. You've got a STOL aircraft. So for this one, the thing that really sets this one apart is that it has Tundra Tires, and yet it doesn't have the liveries to go with the base wheel variant. So I just look at this and go, this feels unfinished, is what this feels. This feels like it should have had another couple of weeks in development, and got the liveries moved over onto all the models, and just clean up some of the bugs in this. So I feel that this one's released a little bit too early. As I said, it looks great. It feels good. For the price point of $15 or your retail equivalent, direct from the marketplace, it's not bad. But it's not great either. So as much as I really want to recommend this, I'm actually not going to recommend it because of what I've said before. The fact that the liveries are not across all the variants, and because of the fact that there's just those couple little cockpit bugs which just need to be fixed. As much as I really want to, because I love aircraft like this, I love STOL, I love working, and flying in these sort of remote wilderness type places, and this is the perfect aircraft to do it in. But I got to say, this time round, yeah, no. My adage always is an add-on aircraft has to be as good has to be better than what ships with the default sim, and at the moment, as it stands, what ships with the default sim in terms of the Savage Cub and the X Cub and the Shock Ultra do what this can do. So yeah, as much as I want this to be a positive, as I said, look, it's a mixed review. As much as I want to recommend this, I can't in its current state. I hope that these issues will be corrected in the fairly near future, and should all those things be addressed that I've discovered, as I said, the moving the liveries and the models across all the different models, the landing, the undercarriage types, and fixing those couple of bugs in the cockpit, then I would 100% recommend this for $15. It's really, really good. It's just sorry, no, at this stage. Anyway. All right, folks, so that has been my review of the Aviat Husky A-1C for Microsoft Flight Simulator from Asobo. Thank you very much for joining me. Don't forget, as always, to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying these videos and want to see more. And, of course, as always, you can catch up with me and all the things I'm up to between videos by finding me on Facebook and on Twitter and on Twitch. Just search NovaWing24. All right, folks, thanks very much for watching. Take care, safe skies to all, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.